like to describe the purpose of man, the purpose of creation, our potentials, our giftings, using this scenario. So God looks on earth and he discovered that there's a problem, there's a challenge. What's going on? What do I do? What do I do? And he's like, oh, let me create this person. He would come and be a solution to everything. So
the TMTV, the Transforming Mindsets TV.
Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm thrilled once again to be here. You know that I really love doing this. I'm grateful that I've had this journey. I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned. I'm grateful for the things that God has taught me, and I'm thrilled that I get to share it with you all. Thank you so much for hanging on with me. Keep hanging on. You're welcome once again to the third episode of Transforming Mindset. And for those who do not know about Transforming Mindset, we are basically on a journey to transforming our minds until we come to the full knowledge of Christ, until our mind is perfected in Him, and until our path is in alignment with His Word. Just hang in with me today and let's go through with this. So guys, in this episode we're talking about potentials and fear. So there's this scripture that constantly screams at me every single time I come in contact with it, and that's the fact that the gift of a man maketh way for him. So basically saying that we have gifts, which I would like to describe as potentials, that are to make way for us. Basically saying God did not send any of us to this world empty. He installed in us potentials, ability, gift, whatever, and He's like, this should make way for you. So that's when I go to God and I'm like, God, please, I need you to do this. God, please, I need you to do that. He's like, but I gave you gifts. Use it to make way for yourself. As children, we would hear the parable of like the 10 talents and all of that was bestowed on some servants. Use this and all of that, and we know how the story ends and all of that, right? So these talents are like the gifts we're talking about now, the potentials are in each and every one of us that we're putting for our use. It's very sad to see that a lot of people, a lot of men die with their potentials untapped, or even live with it unreleased. So I'd like to describe the purpose of man, the purpose of creation, our potentials, our giftings, using this scenario. So God looks on earth and he discovered that there's a problem, there's a challenge. What's going on? What do I do? What do I do? And he's like, oh, let me create this person. He would come and be a solution to everything. So he finds the perfect parents, they meet up together, he finds the perfect situation, and this person comes on earth and all of that. He's like, wow, yes, this is going to be the solution bringer. He's going to change the whole entire scope of everything and all. And then he grows up and he's an adult now, or she's an adult now. And then instead of tapping into those resources that God has given him or her, and meeting up with the solutions that he has bestowed in him or her already, he's running down and saying, running back to God and saying, God, there is nothing I can do. I feel so worthless. I feel like my life is not enough and all of that. Or he doesn't even go to God. He just leaves and then forgets about all of these things, and then just live with potentials being untapped, being unreleased, and before you know, end of life. Now that's about potentials. Potentials are innate, they are born in man, and that's why when we are born, you don't have to tell a child, oh, dream of this is your dreams, this should be who you should be. We are born, and then naturally we begin to develop dreams, we begin to see ourselves become different things, we begin to have ambitions, we begin to have all of these things, because it's innate in man to want to release the potentials that God has placed in man. Now the big question is, why? Like, why do a lot of people live with their potentials unreleased? Why do people die with their potentials untapped? Why do people not use these giftings? Why is it not natural? Why do a lot of people find it difficult to, release their potentials and all? Now, there are several reasons why that is that. There are so many of them. There's discouragement, there's sin, there's disobedience, a lot of these things, right? But I would like to dwell on fear. One very, very common reason why most people live with their potentials untapped and die with their potentials unreleased. Fear is generally described as false experience appearing real and all of that. But for our topic today, we are talking about potentials and fears. I would like to go with Miles Monroe's definition of fear, which is dwelling in all the things that could go wrong and forgetting the things that could go right. So let's take the story of David, for example. So David is faced with Goliath, right? Fear would be him looking at Goliath and saying, Goliath is too big for me to kill. While faith, on the other hand, would be looking at Goliath and saying, oh, Goliath is so big, so I can't miss. Another example that will portray this well enough is driving. Fear is thinking of driving and thinking of all the 1,000 things that could go wrong, like your wheel could roll off, your brake would fail, you could run out of fuel suddenly, and all those things, right? Faith, on the other hand, is believing that, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take precautions, and I'm just going to do my best. I'm very sure that with these two examples, you are beginning to picture how fear can hinder a person from actualizing their full potential. Because rather than, oh, I'm going to go all out, I'm going to release this because this is what is given to me to make way for me, you're looking at it from the perspective of, oh, what will people say, or my past failures, or even from the fear of success itself. Like, oh, if I succeed, there's a lot of accountability that comes with success, there's a lot of discipline that comes with success, there's a lot of demands that comes with success, so I would rather just remain a failure. So if you're still struggling with fear and you're struggling with actualizing your potentials and the God-given gift, you're probably scared of what people will say, how people will react, and all of that, the first thing you must get rid of is fear. Because fear is a cripple. It will keep you bound, it will keep you caged, and it will stop you from actualizing your potential. Refuse to think of all the things that could go wrong. Start to think of all the things that could go right. How different your life would be, how much you would flourish, how better your life would be, how great, how helpful and how beautiful it would be when your potentials are fully actualized and released. Think of your potentials as God's way of answering your prayers. Think of it as the reason for your existence. Think of it as the sole purpose for your existence. Stand bright, be courageous. Rise. Fear is false, fear is false, fear is a liar. And whenever you are tempted to be scared, think of the fact that you are thinking at the wrong direction. What of the other way around? What if it turns out well? What if it turns out good? What if it turns out great? Finally, but most importantly, rather than focus on your fears, begin to focus on God, begin to focus on the omnipotence of God, focus on His ability to do and bring every single thing to pass. As long as He gave you the gift, He would help you on how to do it. He will bless you to succeed on it. We see the story of the 12 spies, and God has been promising from time immemorial, oh, I'm going to give you guys the land of Canaan, a land that flows with milk and honey and all of that. And He's like, send these 12 guys to check it out and all. And they go in, and rather than see that's God's ability, rather than focus on God's ability, that, oh, God has said this, so let's relax, He will do it. Mind you, this is the same God that has done several things for them. They've seen God do wonders. He has done a lot of things. They went in and they began to focus on their fear. They are focused on the fact that these people are so great, they are so big. And mind you, they said we are like ants before them, so it's mighty, so big. They are probably like skyscrapers. That's how big any other human can be, for a human to say, okay, we are like ants before them and all. So whatever challenge you are even thinking of, that you're afraid of, is not as big as being faced with giants. And even at that time, God was so mad and angry, and He's like, why are you guys not seeing my ability? Why are you guys not focused in my ability? Aside from Caleb and Joshua that stood up and said, if God said this, then He'll be able to do it. I hope that having listened to this video, you would refuse to let fear get the best part of you. You would refuse to waste your existence on earth just bound by fear. Fear of what? Fear of what a couple of persons would think. Fear of what might happen, fear of the fact that if you succeed, you may not be able to handle it, fear of whatever your fear is. I hope that with this, you are focused more on God, on the ability of God to care for you, to help you, to guide you, to take charge. After all, He gave you this potential, He gave you this ability, and faithful is He who has started it, who will also what? Do it. Thank you very much for following up on this episode. I hope to see you striving. I hope to see you harnessing those potentials, releasing them, shining bright. Thank you, and see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share this link, and turn on your notification button.